We have self-centered minds, which gets us into plenty of trouble if we do not come to understand the error in the way we think. Our self-awareness can be our greatest blessing, but it also can be our greatest downfall. Owning our story can be hard, but not nearly as difficult as spending our lives running from it. Hello and welcome. My name is Victoria Bedford and I'm a spiritual alchemist, helping to empower people to heal the parts of themselves that can lead to great transformation in their life, doing exactly for others, hopefully, what I was able to do myself. Now, I am not able to heal anyone, but I am able to bring the knowledge, the tools, the love, the empathy and the understanding from my own journey into other people's lives so that they hopefully can use this to transform their own life. And like anything, transformation isn't overnight. It is something that we have to be committed to. So if you haven't already watched my other videos, then please do go along and watch my other videos. And they will talk about my journey and healing and different parts of how can we transform our life. So in this video, I'm going to be speaking about self-awareness. Why is self-awareness important? And how can self-awareness change our life? And what is even self-awareness? Spiritual self-awareness. And I say spiritual quite loosely because not everyone wants to understand or know or believe or see that they are spiritual and on a spiritual journey. If you have a soul, I believe, as does many other spiritual teachers, that you're here for a spiritual journey. And a spiritual journey is becoming self-aware, healing your soul, understanding what your purpose is, and living a life that is authentic and the best one for you. And that doesn't by any means mean a perfect life. It means a life of acceptance so that we don't suffer to the extent that we do suffer. So first of all, what is self-awareness? Self-awareness is the ability to see deeper your behaviours, your thoughts, your beliefs, and actually understand where they have come from. Self-awareness is the ability to reflect on the parts of your life as you go along and to see where certain behaviours come from, to see how they're impacting you, your life as well as others, and to also enable you to become emotionally intelligent so that life is no longer happening to you, it is happening for you, because that is ultimately what life is meant to be. Life will bring us lots of shit and crap, but ultimately it can happen for us more than it can happen to us. When we understand what self-awareness is, it means we are able to not only find compassion for our behaviours and love and understanding for our thoughts, feelings and beliefs, but also challenging them. Because we are living and growing in a society where thoughts, feelings and beliefs are rigid. And if we hate Marmite when we're 10, we will always hate Marmite and never try it again. If we believe that tennis is a rubbish game, we will never watch a tennis game because tennis is rubbish. When we get so rigid in our thoughts, feelings and beliefs, we don't challenge them. We don't step out of our comfort zone, which leaves us struggling to make change because we get so caught in boxes of how things should be. And this actually does come from understanding the self-awareness of our parents, because when we cultivate self-awareness, we are able to see where some of our thoughts, feelings and beliefs come from, which are our childhood, our parents, our schools, our friends, how society thinks we should be. Why do you think so many people struggle with their weight now? Because in the 90s, when Twiggy and was at our fame in the 80s, we were believing that thin was beautiful and we were sold that story. So that belief system has unconsciously been ingrained in people. So we have people now struggling with their weight, struggling with eating, struggling with their identity of who they think they should be because of an unconscious belief that was installed in them. When we start to realize that's what happened and become self-aware, we can challenge that and go, okay, that's not my belief. I don't actually truly believe that thin is beautiful, or larger is beautiful, or smaller breasts is beautiful, or smaller feet is beautiful. Delete where appropriate. So understanding the importance of self-awareness can lead us to understand why we need to start doing it. Lots of people are running around in life unhappy, unfulfilled, constantly caught in cycles of behaviours that are detrimental to them and their family, cycles of thoughts that are detrimental to them and their family. And when we are caught in these cycles, we can just accept that that's how it is without really realising that it's not. When we can have argument with a friend and then we resolve it, or we walk away from that friend, but we don't understand why that argument has occurred or where those thoughts and feelings have come from, we can then end up in situations where we end up arguing with another friend, and then we can argue with another friend. And we don't understand why these similar kind of arguments are coming up, why you're always feeling as if they're never bothering, or you're always feeling as if they're taking advantage of you or using you, or only bothering when they want something. We will believe that that's other people and how they treat us. When we become self-aware, we can recognise that actually in childhood, by feeling rejected from friendships in childhood, could lead us to feel not secure in friendships in adulthood. So what we end up doing is we end up looking for the reasons of why we are not good enough for that friendship. But that level of awareness only ever comes with self-awareness, reflecting. You don't have to be a spiritual guru, a spiritual teacher, an enlightened person. You don't have to be any of those things to start self-awareness. Self-awareness can be started daily. The importance of self-awareness is you get to understand why you're behaving that way. Because we can spend our whole life arguing with everyone around us and thinking, I don't want it to be like this. And then we end up pushing people away and we end up feeling lonely. But when we build a sense of self-awareness, we can realise how we can change that, how we can bond differently with our friends and with people, meaning taking more responsibility for the fact that if we are feeling hurt by something, we say something. We start to learn how to emotionally show up and say how we feel. And I do have videos on emotional intelligence and learning emotional maturity, which really will help with self-awareness. Quite often people are very unaware that when they start businesses or go into jobs, how they can self-sabotage. I started my life quite young, like we all do, not feeling good enough. So not achieving at school, not achieving my GCSEs, not achieving, and then going into hairdressing and struggling to achieve initially and having to really work hard to achieve being a good hairdresser. But I still always doubted myself. Which seen me self-sabotage quite often. I would be in salons where I'd feel so much pressure, I'd end up walking out or quitting the job instead of working on my self-assurance, instead of working on my self-confidence. I would self-sabotage because I didn't realise that that's where it come down to. It come down to the fact I didn't feel good enough. So when I started doing my spiritual work, and I started to feed into some of the negative comments and get down by it and allow it to pull me down, and I would come off Facebook, I would not do the work, I would keep myself small. And I believed that that's what I needed to do because I can't cope with those comments. But the truth of the matter, what I really needed to do and what I did was start to learn to believe and know that I am good enough, and start to also realise that other people's opinions come from their pain. And I don't have to be defined by other people's thoughts and feelings. And it doesn't matter what we do, we will be judged anyway. And when we learn to self-reflect, we get to give compassion to ourselves, give compassion to our thoughts and feelings, and the times we didn't feel good enough, and the times that we lashed out and judged another. Because there will be times you did that. that you lashed out, that you judged another. And then when we feel upset because we're being lashed out on and someone's judging us, without self-awareness, we will think they're just being, horrible, and they may be just being horrible, but we'll get caught and sucked into the, I'm not good enough, what they're saying is true, I need to pull back. But when you've had a level of self-awareness, yes, it may hurt initially, and you may reflect on, is there something that in it that's true? But also you'll get to realise that when somebody is not self-aware, they will use opinions to form a judgment, and they will base it as an opinion because they don't have a level of self-awareness to understand anything other than their rigid belief system. Because when you're not self-aware, you have rigid belief systems which sees you judging. I used to be very judgmental. I'm completely different. I used to be so judgmental. Now I have love, compassion. I like to see the other side of things. I like to take myself away. And if I ever thought about commenting on something, I would think, actually, I'm going to take 5 minutes to flick through their Facebook and see who they are as a person. And actually, do I really need to comment? Does it make a difference? If commenting meant that I could enable them to see something differently or give them a different perspective, brilliant. But if it was just going to be a judgment of my opinion, then does that need to be given? Because actually now, while as a human I will still have judgments, but I challenge them. I ask myself where they come from. We do need judgments. We do need that side of things. We need to judge whether a friend is right for us. But what we don't need to do, and that's how we use self-awareness with judgments, we do need judgment. We do need opinions. We need all that because that's a value system that we have. We need to form our own opinions so we get to know that where we can go and what we can't go and what we can do and what we don't want. But when we are self-aware, we get to understand those values will change in time. Our opinions will grow. And actually, love and compassion for another is happening because you have love and compassion for yourself, your mistakes, the things that you have done. And instead of berating yourself and hating yourself for your past, you get to understand it. And that leads you understanding other people more. Self-awareness doesn't just help you. It helps you see the world in a different way. You will take things less personally when you become self-aware. Now, taking things less personally does not mean they don't hurt. Hey, I've got lots of self-awareness. I have lots of things in my unawareness that will be brought to the self-awareness as I grow. I'm not here to pull everything to the surface all at once because I need to know it. I'm here on a journey of challenging myself at different times. Okay, I believe that. Well, where does that belief come from? And right now, actually, I feel like, I do believe that. I believe that, let me give a belief system. I believe there should be more regulation around spiritual work. And once upon a time, that belief system was so rigid that anyone who didn't show respect in the way that I believe respect should be shown to spiritual work, or didn't have a higher level of understanding that I think they should have had for what the work they were doing, I would judge them. But when I become more self-aware, when I started to understand about seeing things differently, I started to have more compassion and go, well, they're on a journey too. They're on a journey of understanding. They've got to learn lessons. I've had to learn lessons. They may have to hit some pitfalls and realise that their knowledge isn't as great as they think, but that's their journey. And because I have compassion for my journey, it sees me judging less. It sees my opinions less rigid. Yes, I still believe that there should be a level of protection in this work, but I don't feel the need now to go and comment on everything I see about how it should be different. I don't feel the need to ram my opinion down other people's throats because that's my value system. I have it, but it's also flexible because it's different for everybody. Some people just need to grow and some people are a little bit fraudulent. But my rigid belief system is not there anymore. So being self-aware leads me to have more compassion for people, leads me to spend less energy having to make people aware of what I think. And that was part of my pitfalls in my spiritual journey, learning my ego, learning to become self-aware, and you don't have to define your life as a spiritual journey to know that you really are on a journey of understanding. When we start to become self-aware, we can start to see how we deliver things to people. We quite often think, well, I am being my true self because I am telling that person exactly what I think. But when we become self-aware, we realise that we can say how we feel, but we're also self-aware enough to know that the other person has feelings, and we need to be aware of how we're going to say it. Doesn't mean we have to not say it, because emotionally we have to process things and say things and own ourselves. So if a friend has upset us, there's two ways we can deal with things. We can either not deal with it at all, which is emotionally shut down, or we could tell them when time has gone on how pissed off we are. I'm so annoyed. You have done this. You have done that. I can't believe it. You're not no friend of mine. That would have been me. Now I'm self-aware enough to go, actually, I feel like this. And I do need to say it, because saying it is going to help that person understand why I'm feeling like this or why I'm acting a little bit distant. So I'd ask my friend, or I'd text my friend, or I'd ask them if we could speak, and I'd say, and I would own how I was feeling without needing to pull them down. Because without self-reflection, you end up reacting to every situation. There's still going to be times you react. There's still going to be times that you come from a painful place. But self-awareness will allow you to reflect on that, because it'll allow you to grow. It'll allow you to pick yourself up quicker. The reason why we fall in and out of depression quite quickly, going down, is because we attach to our emotions as if they are right. But when we become self-aware, we go, right, I'm going to look. Self-awareness means we are going to look at things that are occurring. So actually, I feel like I've gone really down right now, and I've been down for weeks. This is an example. When you self-reflect and you self-aware, you can go, well, what's made me down? Why do I feel like that? How much power does that really have over me? Am I going to need to let that go? And then you get to start to learn again to raise your vibration and go out and do something that makes you feel good. If you're not self-aware, you're going to be caught in that emotion as if that emotion is as real as you think it is. That emotion is real, but that emotion will hijack you. That emotion will keep you trapped unless you become self-aware enough to go, that's what's going on. And we are able to flow more freely through life when we are becoming self-aware. When we're constantly meeting the wrong partner, when we become self-aware, we can go, well, what's going on? Maybe I'm giving my heart too quickly. Maybe I'm missing the red flags. Then you grow from that, so you don't give your heart so quickly the next time. So you put some groundwork in, so you make them know where they stand, instead of allowing your body to rush into it. Self-awareness sees small change, and self-awareness is a daily thing. Each day, just learn to be a little bit self-aware. When you're going to the co-op or you're going to the shop and you end up getting snappy because the queue is too long, ask yourself, become a bit self-aware. Wow, am I allowing myself to get annoyed by something I have no control over? Because we get frustrated by so many things that have so much control over us that if we just let go, we would not feel as stressed as we do. We feel so stressed because we're so unaware of how we are dealing with everything daily, with emotions, with people, with everything. We're just stacking ourselves like a domino effect, stacking. You can see it wobbling, but you're like, no, I'm going to glue it down. I'm going to glue it to the floor. So it doesn't matter how much it's doing that. You're pushing it one way, pushing it another. It's a lot of energy. If you show up each day wanting to be aware of yourself, because that's where it starts. You can't change your life overnight. And nothing was built overnight. You don't build a house overnight. Rome wasn't built overnight. Your leg doesn't heal overnight from being broken. Your nails don't grow overnight. But yet we're taught in this world right now to have everything now. I want to be healed and I want to be healed now. I want to know who I am and I want to know who I am now. Being self-aware recognises that you are on a journey. And that if you have got to however age that you've got now, with all these rigid belief systems, all this coping mechanisms, you're not changing them overnight. But at least by becoming self-aware daily, you are going to start becoming more accountable. Because accountability is one of the biggest things in our life. I used to blame everybody else for everything. And even if I knew I was out of order in whatever way, I would justify it somehow. And that's what we do. Cognitive dissonance is a part of counselling. We like to justify things and we like to deny things. We like to deny that there could be a different side to things. So if somebody says, well, that my opinion is, and you go, well, no, I don't agree with that. We like to justify why we're right, and we will find every reason as to why we're right. But the fact of the matter is, there is always more than one side to everything. And when we become self-aware, we recognise that not everything is just one-dimensional. But yet we're running around clinging onto these thoughts and beliefs and lives that we believe are one-dimensional, that we believe, we have to be right. And then we go into denial, and then we reject anything that doesn't sit well with us. But we're missing out on learning. By rejecting what challenges us, we're missing out on learning. Now, you don't have to listen to everybody in what they say about you or what they say about your life, but having personal awareness and self-awareness will allow you to take some feedback from people. Now, this feedback has to be from people you trust. So asking someone you love and you're really close to and you trust, what do you think holds me back? What do you think I'm unaware of that affects my life? Now, this is going to offend you. There's going to be things that offend you. And I know that's not going to feel great. But for us to start to change and grow and have the life that we all deserve, we have to come out of comfortability of thinking that life has to be a certain way, from living our life a certain way, and from carrying all these really quite unhealthy thought mechanisms, beliefs. And actually it can become such a beautiful journey when you can start to have more compassion for yourself and others. And when you start to realise that just because you believe something true doesn't mean it is. Part of it may be true. Like, if I was blind and then suddenly could see, and all I seen was a beautiful sunset, and then suddenly my sight went again, I would believe that the sky was always beautifully golden like a sunset. That would be my belief. That's all I seen. That would be my belief. But it isn't the truth, is it? The truth is the sky is so many different colours at so many different times. And if, as someone who was blind, if I asked other people, what is the sky today? I would get to have different perceptions. If I get to use Braille or an audio about what the sky used to look like at night, I would be able to know that the truth that I seen was the truth at that point. It is a truth, but it's not the truth. And there is a difference between a truth and the truth, okay? Because having self-awareness allows us to realise that the world externally to us is just a reflection of the world internal to us. And the world internal to us is way more important. And it's something we need to face and heal more, because it's only by healing our internal world, so only by recognising and becoming self-aware of our internal world, our feelings and thoughts and behaviours and emotions, do we start to change the external world. For a period of time I lived with, and I'm not putting people down when I'm saying this because they were in pain too, I lived amongst friends who were so rude to me, who had no respect for me, who demanded so much from me. And I felt victimised by it. I was with partners who were so horrible and abusive. I was always skin. I lived, and I still live in a council house, so that's by and by, but I lived in a council house I wasn't happy in. I struggled to do up, and while my home was lovely, it never felt good enough. I never felt I had enough. I was always feeling a lack of. When I started to work on myself, which was before my breakdown, but the main work happened from my breakdown, when I started to recognise the things that I had to let go of, when I started to become self-aware and recognise that the only person that could ever change my life was me, and the only person that could ever have a life that I want has to be created by me. And actually, as time went on, I mean, I've been on this journey for a very, very long time of understanding myself. But as I was starting to say no to things that were wrong for me, good things started to come in. When I started to walk away from people that were toxic and not wanting to see that or change, I started to heal and grow. When I started to walk away from relationships that weren't right for me, doors started to open to further growth. And that's how the journey gets more and more and more. You start by one door, you close a door to something that isn't right for you, and a door to something that is opens, and more beautiful things come in. And that doesn't mean that you're never going to go through hardships again, but along your journey of understanding and self-awareness, you get to build resilience, because by building self-awareness, you get to also build resilience to the fact of not everything's your problem. Not everything is something you can sort out. Not everything deserves your energy. And actually, you get to be so much more picky about where you place your energy and about who has your energy. And actually, you get to be more picky about how you use your own energy, how you say your words, how your words will impact others. And you will start to realise the cause and effect is real, that how you treat other people, how you show up to the world will be how the world treats you. I truly hope you've got something from this video in self-awareness. Please pop in the comments any questions that you have around how to build some self-awareness, how to start your journey. You know, there is lots of questions that I know arose when I was starting this journey, and you can't answer them in your life all at once. So it is something that you need to explore. But again, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and do pop me a like and do pop me a follow. And I really hope to see you along my journey on my channel of self-growth.